Caitlin Clark said being left off the Olympic team gives you something to work for. But here's the real question. Did Team USA just work themselves into a corner by leaving her out? Let's talk about what's really going on here. Team USA's ratings are in free fall, and they've just benched one of basketball's brightest stars. It's like they're trying to win a game with their best player sitting on the sidelines. You might be wondering, what were they thinking? Well, stick around, because we're about to break down why this decision could be Team USA's biggest fumble yet. We're not just talking about missing out on Clark's skills. This could change the whole game for women's basketball. But here's the thing, Team USA's choice isn't just about who's on the court, it's about the future of the sport. Are they playing it safe or playing themselves? Let's find out. Alright, let's talk numbers. And not the kind Team USA wants to see. We're diving into a ratings nightmare that's got everyone from coaches to fans scratching their heads. Remember when Team USA women's basketball was must-see TV? Well, those days might be over. Their recent game against Japan, only 3 million viewers tuned in. And it gets worse. The matchup with Belgium barely scraped 2.1 million. Now, you might be thinking, that doesn't sound too bad. But here's the kicker. 12 years ago, they were pulling in a whopping 11 million viewers. Let that sink in for a second. We're talking about a drop from 11 million to just over 2 million. That's not a dip, folks. That's a nosedive. But wait, there's more to this story. Have you noticed something missing? Where are the ratings for the Germany game? It's like they've vanished into thin air. Now, I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but when numbers suddenly go MIA, it makes you wonder, are they trying to hide something? Maybe those ratings were so low, they're keeping them under wraps. You know what they say, if you're not growing, you're dying. And right now, Team USA's audience is shrinking faster than a cheap jersey in the wash. So, what's causing this ratings freefall? Is it the team's performance, the competition, or could it be something else entirely? Here's a wild thought. What if it's not about what's happening on the court, but who's not on it? Remember, we're living in the Caitlin Clark era. This is a player who's not just good. She's a phenomenon. She's the kind of athlete who makes people who don't even like basketball tune in. Think about it. The 2024 WNBA season just kicked off with the highest attendance in 26 years. Games are getting more eyeballs than ever before. And who's at the center of all this buzz? You guessed it, Caitlin Clark. So Team USA decides to leave her off the Olympic squad, and suddenly their ratings are in the gutter. Coincidence? I think not. But here's where it gets really interesting. While Team USA's viewership is tanking, the WNBA is soaring. It's like we're watching a changing of the guard in real time. The old guard is sticking to their guns, while the new wave is capturing hearts and minds. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, but the Olympics are different. It's about experience. And you're not wrong, but here's the million-dollar question. Is experience enough when you're losing your audience? The numbers don't lie, folks. Team USA is hemorrhaging viewers faster than a rookie loses their nerves on opening night. And it's not just about the pride of the team or the medals they might win. This is about the future of women's basketball on the global stage. Think about it. The Olympics are supposed to be the pinnacle of sports, right? The best of the best, battling it out for glory. But if nobody's watching, does it even matter? This isn't just a wake-up call for Team USA. It's a 5-alarm fire. They're not just losing games, they're losing relevance. And in today's world, that might be an even bigger defeat. So Team USA's ratings are in freefall, but what's their game plan? Let's talk about Coach Cheryl Reeve's playbook. She's not sweating the numbers. Nope, she's laser focused on one thing. Their mind is on their journey, and their mission is to win a gold medal. Sounds good on paper, right? But here's the catch. While Reeve's talking about the journey, the fans are changing the channel. It's like she's planning a road trip while the car's running out of gas. Now, let's shift gears and talk about Diana Taurasi. She's suiting up for her 5th Olympics. That's not just experience, that's a basketball time capsule. We're talking about a player who's seen it all, done it all, and probably has the t-shirt to prove it. But here's where it gets tricky. Taurasi's recent game, it's been more miss than hit. We're seeing a legend who's struggling to keep up with the pace. It's like watching a classic car trying to race in Formula 1. You might be wondering, why keep her on the team? Well, it's not just about what happens on the court. Reeve and the bigwigs see Taurasi as the team's linchpin. She's the glue that holds everything together, the voice in the locker room that can rally the troops when the going gets tough. But let's be real for a second. Is experience enough in today's game? The world of women's basketball is changing faster than a crossover dribble. New stars are rising. The game's getting faster. faster, and the fans, they're hungry for something fresh. Think about it. While Team USA is banking on tried and true methods, the rest of the world is innovating. It's like they're playing chess while everyone else has moved on to 3D chess. And remember how we talked about those missing ratings for the Germany game? Well, here's another puzzle piece. Reeve's gone dark on social media. She set her account to private faster than you can say backlash. It's like the team's in a bunker, trying to weather the storm of criticism about leaving Clark off the roster. Now, don't get me wrong, experience matters. You can't put a price on the kind of knowledge Taurasi brings to the table. But in a world where viral moments can make or break a sport's popularity, is Team USA missing the bigger picture? Let's break it down. On one side, you've got the old guard, players like Taurasi who've been there, done that, got the gold medals. On the other, you've got rising stars like Clark who are rewriting the playbook and drawing in fans by the million. Team USA's banking on the idea that gold medals speak louder than ratings. But here's the million-dollar question. What if they're wrong? What if in trying to secure another gold, they're losing the future of the sport? It's a gamble, pure and simple. They're betting that their experience will trump star power, that the thrill of victory will be enough to keep fans engaged. But with each game that passes, with each drop in viewership, that bet looks riskier and riskier. So what's the real score here? Team USA's old school thinking might just be their Achilles heel. They're playing by a rule book that's gathering dust while the rest of the world is rewriting the game. Think about it like this. Imagine if the NBA stuck with the same strategies from 20 years ago. No three-point revolution, no positionless basketball. That's kind of what Team USA is doing right now. They're clinging to what worked in the past, hoping it'll carry them through to the future. But here's the kicker. The future of basketball isn't waiting for anyone. It's evolving, with or without Team USA on board. And right now, it looks like they might be getting left behind. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark. She's not just a player, she's a phenomenon. When Clark steps on the court, magic happens. Fans flock to arenas, TV ratings soar, and social media explodes. She's the kind of player who makes people who've never watched basketball suddenly become diehard fans. Remember her WNBA debut? It wasn't just a game, it was an event. The largest audience in 2 decades tuned in to watch Clark work her magic. That's not just impressive, it's game-changing. So why isn't she on Team USA for the Olympics? It's the question that's got basketball fans scratching their heads and TV executives pulling their hair out. The selection committee had their reasons, but are they good enough? Let's break it down. First up, team chemistry. The committee's thinking goes something like this. We've got a winning formula, why mess with it? They're banking on the idea that a team that's played together before will outperform a group of individual stars. But here's the thing, Clark isn't just any star. She's a team player who elevates everyone around her. Her court vision is off the charts, and her ability to make her teammates better is legendary. Isn't that exactly what you want in international competition? Next, let's talk performance metrics. Clark's college stats are mind-blowing, but the committee's looking at her early WNBA struggles. She's averaging 5.4 turnovers per game. That's high, no doubt about it. But is it a deal breaker? Think about it. Clark's transitioning from college to the pros. Of course, there are going to be growing pains, but her potential, it's through the roof. And let's not forget, this is the same player who's been breaking records left and right. Are a few early stumbles really enough to keep her off the Olympic squad? This decision has exposed a generational divide in women's basketball. On one side, you've got the old guard, experienced players who've been there, done that. On the other, you've got rising stars like Clark who are changing the game. It's not just about age, it's about style of play, marketability, and the future of the sport. The old guard plays a more traditional game. It's solid, it's proven, but is it exciting enough to keep fans glued to their screens? Clark represents a new era of basketball. She plays with a flair and creativity that's captivating to watch. Her game is tailor-made for highlight reels and viral clips. In an age where attention spans are short and competition for eyeballs is fierce, that matters. Now, let's be clear, leaving Clark off the team might save face in the short term. The committee can point to her early WNBA struggles and say, see, we made the right call. That is, but at what cost? Think about the long-term implications. Clark isn't just a player, she's a cultural icon. She's bringing new fans to women's basketball in droves. By leaving her off the Olympic team, USA Basketball isn't just missing out on her skills, they're missing out on her star power. But this decision could cost Team USA big in the long run. We're not just talking about medals, we're talking about relevance. In a world where sports and entertainment are increasingly intertwined, star power matters. And right now, there's no bigger star in women's basketball than Caitlin Clark. And you might be thinking, but what about the experienced players? Don't they deserve their spots? Of course they do. Experience is valuable, especially in high-pressure situations like the Olympics. But is it everything? Basketball is evolving. The game today is faster, more dynamic, and more exciting than ever before. Players like Clark are at the forefront of this evolution. By sticking too rigidly to the old ways, Team USA risks being left behind. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. This isn't just about Team USA or even basketball. We're watching women's sports hit a crossroads, and the choices made now could shape the future for years to come. Think about it. Women's sports are finally getting the spotlight they deserve. We're seeing record-breaking viewership, packed stadiums, and athletes becoming household names. But with all this growth comes some growing pains. Take visibility, for example. More eyes on women's sports means more scrutiny, more pressure, and higher stakes. Every decision, every roster pick, every game strategy is under the microscope. And Team USA, they're right in the center of it all. Now, let's talk about media representation. Remember when women's sports were lucky to get a mention at the end of a newscast? Those days are gone. Now we've got primetime coverage, social media buzzing, and fans demanding more. But here's the catch. With all this attention, there's pressure to deliver not just great sports, but great entertainment. This is where Team USA's decisions start to look a bit shaky. They're sticking to their guns, focusing on experience and tried and true methods. But in a world where highlight reels and viral moments can make or break a sport's popularity, is that enough? You might be thinking, but what about the actual game? Isn't that what matters? And you're right, it does. But here's the thing, in today's world, it's not just about winning. It's about how you win, who's winning, and whether fans are excited to watch. This brings us to the big question. How do you balance veteran experience with new talent? It's like trying to make the perfect smoothie. You need just the right mix of ingredients. Too much of one thing throws everything off balance. Team USA seems to be betting big on experience. They're banking on the idea that players who've been there before will deliver when it counts. But are they missing out on the X factor that new talent brings? The excitement, the unpredictability, the ability to draw in new fans? Let's be real for a second. Women's sports are in a unique position right now. They're growing faster than ever before, but they're also at a tipping point. The decisions made now could determine whether this growth keeps snowballing or hits a wall. And Team USA, they're not just playing for medals anymore. They're playing for the future of women's basketball, maybe even women's sports as a whole. Every game, every play, every roster decision sends a message about what they value and where they see the sport going. But here's where it gets tricky. While Team USA is sticking to their playbook, the rest of women's sports is changing the game. We're seeing new leagues pop up, innovative marketing strategies, and athletes becoming brands in their own right. It's like Team USA is playing chess while everyone else has moved on to 3D chess. You might be wondering, is Team USA stuck in the past? It's a fair question. Their approach worked before, but the world of sports is evolving at lightning speed. What worked yesterday might not cut it tomorrow. And think about it like this. Imagine if the NBA had stuck with the same strategies from 20 years ago. No three-point revolution, no positionless basketball, no social media presence. That's kind of what Team USA is risking right now. They're clinging to what worked in the past, hoping it'll carry them through to the future. But here's the kicker. The future of women's sports isn't waiting for anyone. It's evolving, with or without Team USA on board. And right now, it looks like they might be getting left behind. This Olympic squad selection isn't just about putting the best players on the court. It's about setting the tone for the future of women's basketball, maybe even women's sports as a whole. It's about showing the world what women's sports can be. Exciting, dynamic, and impossible to ignore. So what's the real game here? Team USA's not just picking players, they're picking the future of women's basketball. It's like they're standing at a crossroads, trying to decide which path to take. Do they stick with what's worked before, or do they embrace the new wave? Here's the million-dollar question. Can they find a way to blend experience with star power before it's too late? Because right now, it looks like they're missing out on both the gold and the glory. Think about it. The world's watching, and Team USA's choices aren't just about medals anymore. They're about keeping women's basketball in the spotlight, growing the game, and inspiring the next generation. What do you think? Is Team USA making the right call, or are they fumbling their chance to change the game? Let us know in the comments.